During the peak of the raw 90s underground resurgence of b-boying, which gave birth to many of the most original and creative b-boy styles of war, a new rebellious movement in the b-boy scene arose in the West Coast, which overturned and questioned the foundations and traditions of b-boying. The abstract style, often associated with the circus style, swept through the early to mid-2000s throughout the West Coast and into parts of Europe. A style and approach that had the battle attitude, creativity, and dynamics of the b-boy, but lacked the conventional structure and formula of footwork, flavor, and patterns. Join us as we unlock the causations and mass effects of the abstract circus style.
I'm Dizzy of the Supernaturals. Join me on this 12-episode journey as I go deeper into the origins to uncover the lost and secret styles of b-boying. In the early to mid-2000s was the height of the originality perspective and approach. New moves were constantly being created and new b-boy styles from different eras and regions were being discovered. The most dominant scene during that time was the West Coast USA scene. It was in the West Coast, through major events like B-Boy Summit, Freestyle Sessions, and Lords of the Floor, that I really make a name from representing in the battles. What I and other b-boys noticed is that b-boys with the most original styles, characters, and approaches were getting a lot of attention. This may or may not have led to a radical approach to being different. A new style began emerging which combined all the new school styles and tricks using threads, creative freezes, hand transfers, stacks, and unique transitions, but was so different than the traditional approach to b-boying that it was being completely rejected by the OGs and pioneers, and thus the abstract circus style was born. In my research, the fourth definition of the term abstract, according to dictionary.com, is defined as difficult to understand, abstruse. By the mid-2000s, the abstract circus style movement exploded through the West Coast and into parts of Europe and was met with great opposition. An invisible line was crossed and a question rose out of the chaos. How far can you go with originality before it's no longer b-boying? I never really knew much about the style, as it was completely different in its approach to what I was used to. However, they did share a lot of moves, tricks, and transitions, and to me, a battle is a battle. What I witnessed is that this controversial style and approach brought forth the term b-boying, which is derived from the term b-boy. Back then, we used the term breakers and breaking, but the term b-boying was created to differentiate the difference between someone who knows how to break and someone who lives the culture and follows the traditions and codes. For the past few months, I have actively tried to track all the abstract circus style b-boys who were active and had a rep from back in those days. I managed to get an email interview from a legendary abstract circus b-boy named Law from Circus Runaways. One of the other b-boys I was requested to interview for the abstract circus style was a b-boy named Nomak, who I had a hard time tracking down. Through my investigations, I uncovered that he had become a Hollywood actor under the name Alex Mraz, appearing in many movies and TV appearances, which explains why he disappeared from the scene in the mid-2000s. Thankfully, I still managed to get a phone interview from him.
You can just talk, you're on speakerphone. I'm just going to ask you just like 7 questions, you know what I mean, and you can just answer it whatever comes to mind first, because I'm just trying to get an idea behind the abstract or circus style.
My name is Alex Mraz, also known as B-Boy Nomak. I'm from Mesa, Arizona. My brother owned the very first hip-hop shop in Arizona, and he would invite a lot of B-boys out from New York to come down. So I got to meet a lot of these guys. I remember meeting Crazy Legs, and I was just really, I was just enamored by this dude because I love Beat Street. And then there's another B-boy, I'm trying to think of his name now, I'm forgetting his name. Flowmaster. He came out there, he was coming out to Arizona quite a bit. We actually entered a battle, me and Flowmaster. And I was 10 years old. I'd pretty much been B-boying since I was 8.
Crazy.
And I was just around all these guys, man. Yeah, I was around all these dudes because they would come into town because my brother had the only hip hop shop. These dudes would all come down, and he would sell all their tapes, all their VHS tapes, and he was always playing around because he did martial arts, and I did martial arts at that time too. I was doing karate, and he was just real athletic, and he would still get back to like foundation stuff. But he was pushing the boundaries. You were already kind of starting to see people starting to like add something a little different to the foundation. I wanted to have my contribution of that, and it was really built off of those guys, though, man. It was built off of like spending real time with the OGs, having spent that time with them, and really learning what they were about. I was able to find my own, and I feel like it's the same with my painting. It's like in school you have to learn how to be able to replicate the masters. That to fully create and find harmony within a style, there are certain rules. And I felt that with the abstract style, that there were certain rules, and that in order for it to like look good, there had to be a foundation there within that as well.
It originated, to my understanding, in Arizona. Sour Patch was probably like the first crew that I want to say that kind of like open that portal for the abstract style, particularly Tosh from Sour Patch, also Weewum as well. From my understanding, it just, it was a time of where the scene was really kind of changing. It was kind of like watching like a like a Dragon Ball Z. You had like your light side and your dark side in a sense, and like this was like a dawn of a new age, new era.
There's no specific place, or there is not a specific person or style that that made it happen. It was a bunch of things come together, a lot of different personalities, a lot of different styles, a lot of different events that happened that really created this movement, this style, this way of living, starting out kind of in late 90s all the way to mid 2000s, I feel.
So I managed to contact Law from Circus Runaways, and he did an interview for me, but by email. So I'm going to be reading off the email interview that he sent to me. To quote Law, he said, "Well, it's a dope story actually. We used to watch Cirque du Soleil and get inspired by that kind of stuff, or even just watch trippy movies and put that inspiration towards our dance. We came from San Bernardino, which is a war zone, so breaking was our only outlet to create and escape the city bullshit. Our first battle we ever entered was Freestyle Session 2000, and Cross One said our name wrong, but when we danced, the name stood out, and people were like, 'Who is Circus Runaways? The name sounds wild.'"
Where it started from was I went to an art school called New School for the Arts. It's called NSA. The artistry just made us think differently. So I think we were just trying to figure out, because I did the old school foundation of like 6 steps and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like you could never really kind of improve on that, because once you did that style, you were abiding by the rules of these old school guys from New York, like Crazy Legs, Ken Swift. And I admired those dudes and I respected them. I just felt like I was coming from a different perspective, and I wanted to try something different.
As we were watching a lot of 90s b-boys that were, just doing power moves and blow-ups. And obviously the press style and the thread style came along, and I guess that's where everything started. It started from the late 90s, and then it started to evolve around the early 2000s.
We were kind of toying around with the idea that we should make rules, because there's like rules in 6 steps. There's a foundation, but that our foundation would be that you'd have to do something different that wasn't a 6 step. So we started looking at like books of like yoga, and I came from a martial arts background, so I was already doing capoeira and Shotokan karate. So we were kind of playing around with that, and then we started watching a bunch of Cirque du Soleil videos. That's when that started coming around on VHS tapes, and just seeing all the like contortionist stuff, and plus, you know, you have to work with what your body can do too. I was just a long, lanky ass kid who was flexible, but the threading, because I didn't really know what it was called. I just saw people holding their legs and, you know, finding little holes and poking their feet through and their hands through. Threading, as that name was, you know, as I heard the name, it really came from Bosch. I think he was one of the first ones to do it in Arizona.
The style really originated from a lot of people being tired of pretending to be super fly or super cool, super fresh. It was more about embracing the dark side, the abstract. Evolved because I think everybody needed something new. Like, we all loved b-boying in the 90s and watched a lot of footage, but it was getting kind of stale because everybody was used to the same character. You know, everyone was used to being under the pretty boy, hero, cool guy. You know, that's what everybody wanted to be. And I feel like that's not who everybody was. You know, even though we love b-boying, there's some nerdy guys, there were some skaters, there were some, you know, guys that listen to punk, there's guys that like the little gothic music, there's people that felt dark, you know, there's people that just liked art and expressing themselves and being creative, and some people like being funny or whatever. Some people were just mad and angry.
And the abstract too, you gotta remember that during that time, in the late 90s, it was all very gothic. Things were moving towards that direction. You know, piercings and dyeing your hair, and I loved, you know, Marilyn Manson and how wild he was. And I thought, hey, we could do this in the b-boy scene, because at that time it was super hip hop. And all my brothers, they were gangbangers. They were Mexican gangbangers. When I dressed up all wild, you know, they used to call me a fag. And I thought it was funny, so I'm like, fuck these dudes, you know. I would talk shit back, and I thought it was funny how I thought, hey, I'll take that into the hip hop scene. Like, I'll just dress up all dark, and knowing that people were going to talk shit, but I thought that would make me stand out more, and my style would be different. I definitely had to have attitude. You know, I definitely would talk shit to dudes, you know, that were like super hip hop foundation. Because I came up through that. One of my brothers was a DJ. You know, everyone did graffiti, so we had all the different elements, you know, that was known back in the day. You know, all the spheres of hip hop. You know, the presentation. I was very theatrical with it because I went to an art school too, so I was already kind of out there, and I was always looking at things differently.
To quote Law, he said, "I guess to us our mentality was like, let's go to the event and do the most outrageous moves in style. And as time went on, keeping that mentality, our craft was evolving naturally because of our hunger. It was like building our masterpiece while not even knowing it. We keep growing because breaking to us was expression, no rules. So as we grew up, our style was growing with us. Everything we was going through life was coming out in our dance, you know? We always stressed not going to the event to win, but to make a effing statement."
PA, Law, and Josh were the first in my, you know, understanding to take that style internationally on a international scale. And like, even for our crew, like the Freak Show, you know, like, we were never really trying to be this or that. We were just trying to get respect and be respected for us. Like, our influences were like, you know, punk and the punk era and like just weird, crazy music. You know, when you become in a circle of something that's kind of like a structure and like, this is what it is, this is how it has to be, then you create these entities, these other energies that want to kind of be something different and have a different meaning, you know, but still be recognized and be a part of that same thing, you know, if that makes sense.
The first two people I remember meeting was in Tucson. It was in 1998, and the two b-boys I met that blew my mind was Ivan the Terrible and Cujo. And then seeing Cujo, he would just flop his head around, just fall around, and like, it looked kind of ugly at first because I'd never seen anything like that. It looked like he was messing up, you know? And he just made it into something crazy, and he was using, you know, the planches and doing push-ups, and that was the first time I really saw showmanship, but in a different way. I saw them in this theatrical way, and I think for me that made me start thinking about, hey, if I can, like, I want to start kind of putting on more of a presentation instead of just the bravado, you know, like being like cocky and just being you know, doing up rocks. That was kind of the way you kind of do up rock, you kind of battle in that way. There was a certain dialogue that was happening when you battled, but they were doing it in a whole different way. So that really got my mind turning. So I would say it was like 98 is when my wheels started turning, and it wasn't until 1999 that I think I kind of found something.
I feel, in my perspective, the abstract style is a hybrid off the 90s style. The West Coast definitely was a big inspiration of, bringing that, like, birth of it. And also, like, the Canadian style with the origami threads, from, like, Supernatural's crew, from, Dizzy, and, like I said, like, all those cats. Like, there's a lot of people that have a very big part of this growth of that whole era. The West Coast was, on a different tip. They were more on, like, blow-ups and tricks. And the closest thing that I can kind of think of that was even close to, like, on some different shit on that region, Florida base was Ground Zero. I mean, I remember even when, like, Benji coming out from France, bringing that style out here in the 90s too, like, blowing up everyone at Freestyle Session. At that time, it was a very special moment because it's like people were like their own identity. There's so many people that I can go on about, but I think for the most part, it's just like everybody at some point in time had a point of trying to do something different.
It kept evolving was because all these people were just expressing themselves and they were having fun with it. And there's people like Utmost and Cross One throwing these events around here that people had a platform. And Utmost was smart enough to embrace that new culture coming up in the b-boy scene.
Unsigned Hypes kind of gave underground crews like that opportunity to kind of just go out and blow it the fuck up. Like, really show your shit. Like, really just fucking call out whoever the fuck you want to call out. Later on, based on a true story, trigonometry. Like, there's a lot of other jams that kind of, like, were starting to emerge to, I guess, not really, like, separate the scene, but kind of just show a new era.
It was all part of the b-boy scene, but the b-boy scene became, like, there's a bunch of little subcultures. There's, like, the super hip-hop, super jiggy, like, b-boy style, kind of commercial style, and then still some underground guys. And then there's, like, the abstract, circuits, weird people. And then there's, like, the battle heads, just people that just want to battle and we're just trying to be, up there, some of the best battlers in the world. And that was cool because it just made everything interesting at the time. It made a lot of people step their game up. Or whatever, all these negative thoughts people were probably thinking about us at the time. To us, it was fun. We were just trolling people. We were just having fun with it, expressing ourselves as artists.
Like, what is the intended purpose for you doing anything that you do in life? I mean, the intended purpose was it to just, do something that was never been done. Like, be yourself, be original, create something that's outside of the box. You know what I mean? Like, that was the whole purpose. So in the sense of it all, the purpose of the abstract style, like, it was just to be free.
To quote Law, he says, "Our purpose was just to show the world there is more to the traditional aspect of the dance. Why be the same when we can stand out? Why be basic when I can be who I really am, a effing alien? Rules are meant to be broken in the dance, they don't want that. Which to me is sad, because some people don't want the dance to evolve, but that is blasphemy."
To dismantle traditional views of what b-boying was. Everyone kind of looked the same. Everyone dressed the same, they up-rocked the same, they hit the floor the same, and ultimately everyone looked like they were like Rocksteady wannabes, more or less. And everyone would have, like, one move that was kind of uniquely their own. It would be like a flip. It'd be one cool flip. They'd be like, oh! They would do the one thing. But then they'd go back to doing the same stuff afterwards. And I'm like, whoa, there's only one moment of originality really there.
It was one of the best kind of forms out there to express yourself because it was physical and mental and spiritual at the same time. It brought the best out of us and it brought the worst out of us. But it was a way to definitely discover who you were at the time.
I think the strength is it just made people think different. It created a lot more opportunities. And now it's not even, I'll see b-boy now and it's all of it. You know what I mean? It's everything's put together. But at the time when we were doing that, there was just a lot of, there was so much room for improvement, so much room to think differently and try different things. But I feel like people were really, really traditional. They had, it was almost like the 50s, where you just, oh, you can't do that, that's offensive. Like, people were afraid to try something different. And you gotta understand too, with that style, man, when I would do that, I got a lot of shit from a lot of people, dude. Like near fights with dudes, like traditional old school dudes saying that you can't do that shit, that ain't hip hop, that ain't b-boying. Yeah, man. I had, some close calls and fights and stuff with people. And so it became like a call for me where, like, man, I got to do this now. Because this isn't even just about what I think I like. It's about now, like, fighting for change in this weird way. And it wasn't until I came out to L.A. where I started seeing, like, there was people that were really getting influenced by that. And they felt the same way I felt. Like they wanted to try something different. It was going to become a new style. And actually, my nephew, he did a workshop with Crazy Legs. And my nephew told him that I was his uncle. And Crazy Legs said, your uncle single-handedly destroyed B-Boy. I think that was dope, so I thought, man, that is the greatest compliment.
The strengths of this style is going to definitely make you feel more creative, more open.
Our biggest strength is our potential and creativity. No weaknesses over here. The only weakness is the viewer's closed-minded ass.
The weakness is, I think when you just sit on your butt for too long. That was becoming something that I was kind of looking at where then it was missing some of the dance elements, some of the musical beats. I remember thinking I gotta find a better way of like still dancing with it, because there was stuff. What I was trying to hit was I wanted to go off rhythm. That was something I was always wanting to do, is like thread on rhythm, but then sometimes go against the beat.
The weaknesses, I mean, there's really no weaknesses in anything, really, man. I mean, it's just yourself. It's just pretty much how you put yourself out of it. It's definitely one of those things where on a competition circuit, especially where we are right now with like point systems and like, all right, top rock, footwork, like having a certain structure what you're breaking now, like I feel like it could hurt you if you don't know how to play it right. That's the thing. I think the biggest weakness is just on a competition level, like if you're a competitive b-boy.
Then when it became like too tricky, like a lot of balance stuff, it was like some real circus stuff, with the flexibility, the holes and stuff. Like if you messed up on a set, it was pretty bad. You couldn't really get out of it. You couldn't flow out of it the way you could if with like six step in or up rocking. It was just so different. You weren't really on a beat. If you fucked up on a stack, on some sort of thread, you were just like flailing around.
Honestly, Law and PA. Like Law and PA probably did that style the best, hands down. Like even till this day, even till now. But like I said, Freak Show, we were an abstract crew. We got labeled as an abstract crew, but we were more of a universal crew. Like we did everything. We spoke the universal language. You know what I mean? We could get down with anybody. I also think about obviously Nomak, Josh, Mike the Cure, who else? Thesis. If I look at Europe, obviously, Rubber Leg, Solid Gin, Tweak, who else? Little Amok. I think about Sick too, from Gambler's Crew from Korea. Sick is nasty. Like, Sick was on some crazy illness, disgusting abstract shit. You know what I'm saying? Obviously Benji, Exuberant.
The b-boys that come to mind, like obviously like our number one rival at the time, they were helping, create the scene and helping, just set the bar up high, was Circus Runaways. Sour Patch was a big influence to Circus Runaways, us, a lot of us, the old school circuit, or the old school Sour Patch when they're from Arizona. They had like Tosh. I definitely remember him standing out and being like, man, who is that guy? And that style is very unique and very different, and I was intrigued. I wanted to see more, and boom, out of nowhere, Nomak came out. Nomak was a beast. Alex, he had a good capoeira, house dance. He mixed with threads, had a very unique, explosive style, but very good delivery, and just had a very good character. Nomak. Think about that character itself. And when I seen these guys at battles and jams, I was always like, I liked that they were mysterious and unpredictable, and you didn't really know much about them, and they look different. They didn't look like your average b-boy.
I would say, well, my buddy Tosh from Sour Patch, Edgar, called him Edgar Soto. He was in Sour Patch. He was, man, that dude was explosive. He was kind of one of the first dudes doing it. He got busy with work and stuff, so people didn't really get a chance to see this dude. I love the cats from Circus Runaway, Freak Show. They took it in more like a punk rock way. I think more than the moves, it was just kind of the attitude. It was kind of like it seemed like it was like they had their generation. Well, man, two people that I always loved was Cloud. I felt like he had abstract.
Yeah.
Without it being so dressing abstract. Actually, Cloud and yourself.
And who?
For real. And you.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks.
Yeah, the threads and the six-step shuffles and the fluidity of that stuff. That's what I mean by, like, because I remember seeing footage of you and then seeing Cloud. I'm thinking, like, damn, these guys fucking, they know how to dance. They know how to hit the floor and hit crazy angles fluid, though, and they can do the threading and still add, like, some power moves in there. And I remember thinking, like, that's the next level right there, where if we can add, like, I remember trying to think for my own style, like, being able to add capoeira to be able to give more rounded movements instead of just kind of linear, you know what I mean, movements. I wanted a little more fluidity with that stuff. But I remember, yeah, so I would say for sure yourself, Cloud.
Where's he from?
Robzilla, for sure.
Yeah.
I think of Robzilla. I'd say Benji. He definitely. Cujo. I mean, I would never say, people may not say that he did abstract, but I think that dude was abstract.
Okay.
But when I went out to LA, he ended up showing me a lot of love. He was judging a battle, and he just kept advancing me. Cujo was really, like, feeling it, man, and that gave me a lot of energy because it just felt cool. It was like one artist recognizing another artist.
To quote Law, he says, "Man, there's only a few of OGs in the style. The main ones are Paranoid Android, Nomac, and the rest of the crew of Sour Patch. It was honestly just us two crews. The others are posers. Laugh aloud. I gotta keep it 100.
The foundations of the style, like, there is really no foundation to it. Like I said, it's a hybrid style off of a threading style. Typically the origami style, in my perspective. Influenced with, like, a lot of other shit. Really get into this kind of a style, you're gonna have to really start mastering your threads. And you're gonna have to understand patterns. The abstract style and threading, they're not really the same.
To quote Law once again, I've been asked this before. It's kind of hard to say because we never taught no one our style. It just came out of us as time went by. It's in our blood to be unique. It's just up to you to pull it out yourself. We don't care what people think. We want the hate more fuel for the fire to let off.
Well, I guess I'm not sure. I'm like, you sit on your hip and you do, like, basic threads. I wouldn't even really know. Well, I would say the foundation for the style is still 6 steps, and it's still up rocks. Because at the end of the day, you got to start up and you got to go down. There's something I learned that it's like, it's not what it's about. It's how you go about it. But it's how you choose to go down that's going to make it abstract or not. It's going to make your own flavor come out.
Everything else has a format, has a structure, you know what I mean? But, there's no one really explaining or putting out the difference of styles, So it's really dope that, this is happening because, there's so many styles in breaking, And for me, I just kind of feel like as much as it's a weird style, it's a different style, why is it not considered a breaking style?
I think, man, when I think about abstract style, I can't, for some reason, I'm always tied with Dragon Ball Z. Like, Dragon Ball Z had something that everyone I knew, all the B-boys around, we were all watching Dragon Ball Z, and I think we kind of wanted some little drama in the B-boy circle. Like, I think we all wanted to be Vegeta, But, like, we all wanted to be the perfect kind of Super Saiyan, hip-hop, rock steady type of dude. but there was something about us that wanted to be like that outsider. Probably a product of our generation, and just loving that conflict. You know, that conflict, it helped us to grow, and it made it interesting to go to a battle and know that we're gonna get shit on and be like, hey, well, that's our path. That's the path we're choosing to walk here. Let's find out how the story's gonna end. And it was always wild, and it was always different, and they would never let us advance forward because the style was just so wild. They didn't know how to judge it, and and that became something we just loved. You know, talking shit about and just laughing, and they don't even have a clue. They're not even artists, and so I would think probably some Dragon Ball Z stuff definitely tied into that. And we were teenagers, man. You know, we were like punk teenagers. Hey, we were going against dad. That's what it was. We were punk teenagers going against our parents in the hip hop scene.
Cool, man.
One of the last battles I did was it was me, PA versus it was a Circus Runaways battle, and we did a little gag where we had blood. And we like bit their neck, and we were like basically calling fighters. You know, we're calling fighters in the scene in the battle, and I ended up slipping. I did this trick, and I slipped on the blood, and I landed on my forehead in the battle, and I had this massive lump, this hematoma. It swelled like a Neanderthal, and I had to keep my hoodie on my head. And so to this day, dude, like when it's cold, I just feel my forehead, that same spot, like the battle scar, man. But yeah, so it was basically Circus Runaways versus Sour Patch. You see that? There's a moment where I do a little thing, and I just land on my fucking face. I just lay there for a second, like,
And the last quote from Law, he says, "Best advice I could give a fellow dancer is to be you to the fullest, cause I always been me no matter what, and that's what got me here. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. We all unique, so show the world why you are unique, because the world needs people like us, the creatives, the artists, influencers. Be somebody that's gonna inspire someone to be them, because that's what I did." And that's it. That's One Love from Law Circus, the Circus Runaways, Eaters of Worlds, hashtag Born Trippy. Yeah. Through this journey to uncover the evolution of the abstract circus style, did I really gain even more respect for this approach. In my conclusion, the abstract style is different than the circus style. Both are used together, much like footwork and threads. However, they can be separated and done apart from each other. Although both quite theatrical, the abstract style is more about the entertainment, conceptual, and self-expression, whereas the circus style deals more with the shocking tricks and blow-ups. Both these styles were integral to pushing the limits of creativity, adding many moves and concepts into breaking. Perhaps one day, these styles will find a way to incorporate more rhythm, funkiness, and finesse in conjunction with the music, as there are so many moves and arsenals from those days that are long forgotten. But slowly, through places like Russia, which continue to keep the originality alive, perhaps someone will be the one to bring it back and make it new once again. Until then, the abstract and circus style will remain as a lost and secret style of b-boying. Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks for watching the rising of the abstract circus style. Dizzy over here, and I just want to leave you with a little something like always. Since the abstract circus style doesn't have a real foundation to it, it's more of a mentality and approach, this is the best that I can give you, especially since this style isn't really my forte. If you go back to the first episode, you can see a lot of the foundations of the threads that I gave, and if you go to the second episode, you can see a lot of the hand transfer foundations as well. Once again, the abstract circus style isn't my thing, but after doing this vlogumentary, I developed a respect for this approach and this mentality to the dance. So I'm just gonna use whatever threads and hand transfers and just freestyle with it, try to make up art with it. For those of you who are getting into the abstract circus style, once again, look back at the old videos and yeah, just have fun with it, create with it, try to make up whatever you can, and yeah, here I go.
Okay, y'all, I gave it my best shot and I tried my best. It was a lot of fun just creating on the spot. So I can see why some people like and prefer the abstract style. Because you're kind of free, there's no rules and you just do whatever you want. So if you get into the style, you really have to get into the mentality of letting go of all rules and structures. Of course, when you do that, people who have built those rules and structures and put those things in place with additions are, of course, you're gonna get some opposition. So it's up to you. I think we're all part of the same thing. We're all part of the same culture. And it was a lot of fun. So, thanks everyone for watching and I'll see you at the next one, alright? 2 weeks.
What's going on? This is B-Boy Nomac from Sour Patch Reborn, slick on the monkey bars. And I'm representing the abstract style out of Phoenix, Arizona. And you are watching the lost and secret styles of B-Boy.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Hope you're enjoying the Lost and Secret Styles of B-Boying. The next episode number 4, coming on Monday, January 28th, 2019 at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to be going through the Upside Down style. See you then. Peace.